You either die the hero. You know what they say, you either die the hero or live long enough to start a podcast and people realize they actually hate you. This couldn't be more true for Howie Mandel, who has become so disliked that even Dana White walked off his podcast within 20 seconds of being introduced.
Only an amazing businessman, you are an inspiration, you are a philosopher. The way you do business, the way you conduct your business and your friendships and media is I'm jealous. But Dana, I can't thank you enough for being here.
And thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate it. I am so tired of doing podcasts. I'm literally done with them. I'm not doing any more podcasts.
I heard some very, what's the word? Like introspective comments. Or I read some, right? And it was talking about how as an interviewer, usually before, if you want to go in on someone and maybe like say some, and I'm not saying this is the case, right? But if you want to go in on someone and like, but before you do that, you give them all the credits, everything, you really talk them up, and then you go in on them as an interviewer to balance that portion out, right? Or something like that. And I'm not saying that's why Dana White left. That was just some crazy fucking comment I see online. Truth is, he probably was just done with doing podcasts. But also, it's a good comment. It's very introspective into what could have maybe actually been the case, And maybe Dana White got away from whatever he was gonna say, right?
However, the podcast that changed Howie's public perception actually occurred when he was a guest on Not Today, Pal, which is a podcast hosted by Jamie Lynn Sigler and Rob Eiler, who are most famous for their roles as brother and sister on The Sopranos, one of the most iconic TV shows of all time. Now, the problem with this episode can be assessed by the very first thing that Rob said.
Some people would introduce our guest as Hollywood royalty, but to me he is the Christopher Columbus of my people, which are the germaphobes, the OCD.
Thank you.
These people, I just want to thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. I'm the
YMH Studios has branched out into so many podcasts, and I guess that's like the name of the studio. But they're really branching out and doing a lot of podcasts. I wonder, is it working? I guess it's working since they're doing more, but I see that everywhere. They do a bunch of them.
Christopher Columbus of mental health?
Yeah, I feel like you were the first one.
I discovered neurosis and
put it on the map.
I feel like you went
out there. So the
there.
Nina, the Pinta, and the sanitizer.
Yes.
Oh,
very good.
There
I did there.
I love it.
Rob chose to introduce Howie not for his accomplishments in Hollywood, such as being the host of Deal or No Deal, one of the biggest game shows of all time, perhaps being a long-standing judge on America's Got Talent, or maybe being the voice of Gizmo in the 1980s classic The Gremlins, or even simply that Howie is a veteran stand-up comedian who has been performing since 1977. Instead, Rob chose to celebrate Howie for his openness over the years about his obsessive-compulsive disorder. It is very publicly known that Howie is a germaphobe, but that is a massive understatement to how he describes his OCD. A vicious dark circle. His makeup artist must use brand new sponges every day. He won't touch his money unless it's been washed. He avoids handrails like the plague. Handrails are my enemy. I never go near a handrail. Even the reason why he is bald is because he believes it is cleaner than having hair to maintain and wash. I'm always on the verge of death in my mind, he said in 2009. He even wrote a book about going public with his struggle with OCD called Here's the Deal, Don't Touch Me. Now the reason why Rob introduced Howie this way say is because Rob too suffers from extreme OCD, specifically in the form of obsession over germs. Rob made it clear from the beginning that he looked up to Howie. He established common ground with their OCD struggles, and it seemed like Rob wanted to deep dive on this topic.
Do you think germaphobe eventually will get a new name that'll be changed into where they won't use germaphobe anymore?
Like a
Where
more
it'll
technical
get,
name?
It'll get woke.
Or
like-
there is a technical name.
What is it?
Misophobia.
Mysophobia.
Yes, but I think eventually it'll just be known as Howie.
Rob probably lives your dream life, to be quite honest.
Why?
I barely leave my home, yeah.
Either do I.
Yeah, oh, really?
No, it seems like I'm out there because I'm on television and I'm on podcasts, but I'm a hermit. I live in the fetal position in my room wherever I am, unless I come out to regale you with stories.
Right.
But do you love being home, or is it like a torture where you're like, I want to go out, but I'm stuck here?
I spend my life trying not to be tortured, because my resting face or my resting being is tortured.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend my life not to be tortured.
Howie also goes on to say that he is doing better than ever these days. He is taking medication and receiving therapy to combat his disability. But the key thing that helps him through his tribulations is distraction.
The biggest one is distraction. So I stay busy as possible. I'm doing, at my age, to be doing all the things that I'm doing as frequently as I do them is by choice. And then when I'm doing that, then it distracts me from my own inner mind, unless you show up someplace and they want to talk about it. No, I'm okay.
Oh,
with
really?
that.
You don't want to talk about
No,
it?
I'm okay talking about it.
It's interesting that Howie details how not thinking about his OCD is the main reason why he is able to cope. And he even says that when people talk about it, it makes him very uncomfortable. But then he quickly recants his statement and claims to be just joking. Howie likely said that because most people probably ask him a few questions and then move on. But Rob
Probably.
genuinely wanted
It probably is pretty annoying. To like, oh, I have one problem or a few, whatever, right? And everywhere you go, they're like, let's talk about it. Let's talk. What? No. Well, haven't I done other things? Have I not done other things? Okay. Well, I think that's weird to do. Like, really. And I think it's weird to keep people kind of keep people's image that way. You know what I mean? To like, oh, what about that time? Like, what? Shut the fuck up, man. How about that? How about that time when I told you to shut the like? It's annoying.
to learn, have a deeper conversation, and maybe get some advice from Howie. And after 8 minutes straight of this discussion, Howie again jokingly stated that he did not want to talk about it.
I think even in this moment, if we talk about it, I'd be a lot more comfortable rolled up at home than sitting here with two people I don't really know. I like you. I'm not knocking you, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
get it.
I don't know what you've touched or who you've been with or
100%.
what's breathing out of you. But the truth of the matter is, I'm doing this, and this is good.
The conversation temporarily shifts for a few minutes, but Rob circles back to asking for some advice regarding his dating life.
So something that's really is a problem in almost all my relationships is the phone in the bed. When I go to lay down and the girl I'm dating has her phone in the bed, and like I'm like, hey, listen, I'm crazy. Like, that's the way I did. I go, I'm crazy. It bothers me. I go, can you try? And they're like, oh, of course, yeah, sorry. And then, of course, the next day, and because they're used to putting their phone in the bed.
Right.
And I find the phone to be so
Oh.
disgusting. And I want my bed to be very
Right.
clean,
Right.
wonderful
Well, I would like a
place.
phone
Give me
in
some
my bed.
advice. I also want to know from 1 to 10.
Ass
is
pod.
that
Lay on it through the night.
ass pods?
Yeah, instead of AirPods, ass pods.
So Rob asks for genuine advice, and Howie makes a bad joke.
You got a
And this
big
is where the
imprint.
tone shifts a little bit. It seems like Howie diverts to humor when he either doesn't understand a question or wasn't paying attention, or simply just because he is a comedian. However, you'll notice that his jokes don't land most of the time because his delivery is extremely dry and not witty. Combine that with the fact that he doesn't really want to discuss his OCD, and you get this nightmare of a conversation.
What's my advice to you?
Or even with something like
Are you
that
talking about
bother
the
you?
germs?
100%.
I wasn't even thinking of the germs.
Oh, it's
I mean,
100.
how exciting are you if you bring a woman to bed and she brings her phone?
I'm talking about...
How about a little scroll and roll?
there are... there are women who
That's an
lay in
ad
bed
watcher.
at night on their
That's-
phone, and then
you
they
not
take
on a
you
date.
watched the whole ad
I'm not talking
after
about a
that
date.
one.
I'm saying I'm dating someone for months, and they're, in their bed, or sometimes you show up at their place, you show up at my place, and the phone is on the bed because they were in the bed on their phone. The germs from the phone in the bed really bother me, but I can't. What are you supposed to do? Like, I can't.
I don't think about the germs on the phone. The germs on the phone would be the same as the germs on her body. Like, where did she put her phone that she
Oh
wasn't?
no! People, they do swabs on phones, and they're like phones.
Don't
are
bother
the
me with
most-
this. Don't tell me what's the
I
phone
probably
is
got a
bad.
piece
You
of
just
shit
asked
on
me,
my
I
phone
think.
right now.
To clarify, this is what Rob is talking about. Let's say I'm Rob and his partner is my girlfriend
Probably.
Riley. Rob does not like when his partner scrolls social media while laying in bed, or maybe even leaving their phone on the bed when they get up and go to the bathroom. Rob thinks this is filthy because cell phones carry 10 times more bacteria than most toilet
It's an
seats.
ad.
Now, Riley and I don't typically use our phones in bed because a few minutes after we crawl into our Helix Midnight Lux mattress, we fall into a deep sleep. Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to
Fucking
fit
do
your
it, man.
needs and conveniently shipped right to your door. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including I've had my Helix mattress for 1 week now and I love it. Now usually I don't fall asleep very fast. I tend to toss and turn. 30 minutes or so I'll fall asleep. But since I got my Midnight Lux, I'll hit the bed on my right side and in less than 5 minutes, I'm out. And also since I'm a side sleeper, I would often wake up with aches and pains typically in my neck or my shoulder from just kind of laying on my side like that. And after Helix, I have absolutely zero discomfort or pain after long hours of sleeping on my side. The best part is that Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. The mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up by yourself. And if you're like me, you'll have some fun off your Helix mattress, plus 2 free pillows. Thanks again to Helix for sponsoring this video. Howie finally decided to give Rob some advice, and it was honestly pretty decent, but then Rob shot it down immediately.
Can I give you an idea?
Please.
Those
Ass
little
pods?
No, that's for taking calls.
Oh.
But what about those little sandwich bags? Those little
Ziploc?
Ziploc clear sandwich bag. You go before you come in the bed, just drop
That's
it in here, zip it up.
crazy.
There you go. You can see it. It's there, and it doesn't
this
touch the
dude's
sheets.
gonna murder me.
You
That's
should
what
have
she'd think.
sandwich
That
Ziploc
she'd
bags on your
what she'd
nightstand.
do.
If
That's
you're single.
exactly
Listen,
what she'd
I
do.
like that, but the problem then becomes if they don't remember that I don't like the phone in the bed,
That's
they don't remember to
crazy.
put it in the bag. You know what I mean?
Are you dating somebody right now?
Right now, I'm not because of my many issues.
Since Rob did not take Howie's advice, Howie thought of trying to turn the situation into a joke, suggesting that maybe the girl was on her phone because she was on probation being tracked by a parole officer. But Rob didn't even think he was joking and even talked about how he once dated a girl on probation.
I don't not let somebody do it. I just, after like 3 weeks of dating, if they can never do it, I just go, I can't do this anymore. And then I'm gone, instead of trying to be like, can't you please? I don't
Well,
want
how
to
do
make
you
it
know
her
they're
problem.
not on? Like they could. You don't. There might be a reason for it. Maybe they're on probation and they have to be. They're being tracked.
But I
by
dated
a pro-
girls on probation who don't do the phone in the bed. They're fine with it.
And you're okay with the ankle bracelet.
Yeah. Because we do the alcohol wipes before she gets in.
And he
Is
doesn't
that a
like to leave the
joke?
house
I don't
anyway.
even know what's jokes
Yeah, you don't do the
anymore.
alcohol wipes on her phone
This
before you
is
even
the
go to bed.
problem.
She
This
won't.
is the
I also
problem.
don't. The phone.
You
is,
have a woman that'll go to bed
But
with you but
I
won't let you wipe her
don't know
phone.
if you're
Here's the
even-
problem. The phone is up by the
And it's
head.
funny
The ankle
sometimes,
bracelet's
but
down by
right
the
here,
feet,
not.
I'm
so it
talking
doesn't
about
bother
it
me
all.
as much.
Once
It's
Howie
annoying, but I
realizes
don't
that
wanna
Rob is
listen.
not understanding the
You know?
joke, he gets serious again, trying to give genuine advice, only for Rob to once again immediately shut down Howie's thoughts.
No problem telling anybody I'm a germaphobe. But if you say you're a germaphobe, can't I swab or wipe your phone?
Yes, but then it becomes the living the life where I don't want to be watching her every hour and every minute of every day.
No, just
when she's
before bed.
walking.
It's a thing.
But it's not a before bed. Like people like to go and just walk into the bed and put the phone. Like people like to be in the bed even when it's not
Do you
bedtime.
sleep in a f***ing phone case? Why do they always
Listen,
go in there
I-
before
I-
and
He's
put
a
their
boy
phone?
in a bubble.
I live in a one bedroom, dude. I don't live in a mansion. Half the f***ing apartment is the bed.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're really charming the ladies. I can hear
I feel like I'm
the
climbing
Hey.
a
ladies
ladder and
listening right
dancing.
now.
bro. That's why
That's
I'm
what I
single.
feel like right
And
now.
A ton of
This is what this
But there was another
conversation
layer
feels
of
like, is I'm
disconnect that
climbing
was
a
more
10-foot
subtle but
ladder in
added to the
Daisy,
animosity in
and
the
I keep
room. Rob and Jamie realized throughout the podcast that Howie did not really know anything about them. It's common podcast etiquette to do some research on someone you are about to have a public conversation with, even if you are the guest on their podcast. But Howie revealed the first clue when he asked if they were a couple.
Are you two a couple? I don't know a lot about you.
No.
No,
We were
Well,
on.
No.
We were co-stars in a television show as early teens, late teens, for 10 years, and then have continued our close friendship. We have a unique chemistry, and sort of that's what this show is about.
Were you ever a couple, even when you were
Never
working
a couple.
together? Oh.
Never.
Not even
Oh, you're
for,
agents.
not even
Not
though
even
we
a-
flirted. Like
yeah.
we would go out to clubs and parties and never. It was always like we played brother and
We
sister.
feel
so it's
like
very
brother and
Is
sister.
that
sister.
so? And that you live that instead
Just
of
kidding.
you
Yeah.
live like brother and sister.
Rob gets physically uncomfortable when people insinuate him and Jamie are a couple, and it's hilarious. It's likely that most of the people watching this video do not know about the Not Today Pal podcast. The podcast was established because Jamie and Rob have been best friends since childhood. They acted as brother and sister on The Sopranos and literally grew up on the show, so they carried that brother-sister bond and dynamic throughout their lives. With a little bit of research, Howie could have avoided that awkward moment, but a few minutes later he mentioned that he did not know them again before explaining to them what their whole podcast is about.
My view of from where I stand, I don't know. I know who you are, but I don't know you guys. But as we sat down, you kind of captured the beginning of this as like I'm f***ed up and Howie helped me. You know, like I not help me, but you know I have mental health. I love that. I have problems. I'm single. I can't find somebody who won't put their filthy phone in my bed. And then slowly but surely, the wave of neurosis comes to this side where you take shoes for no reason at all. You're very concerned about what others think more than what is right to do. This is like a wave of, this is like a group session where we're going around. It's a meeting. It's like an intervention.
On the surface, this might seem like a subtle issue, but
Listen, Patrick. Howie's been doing some ketamine. He's been prescribed some ketamine. He's been taking way too much. He's been taking way too much of it. This is a one-time occurrence, okay?
it's disrespectful at worst, but unprofessional at best. Like, imagine how Howie would feel if the player midway through Deal or No Deal was like, oh, so I'm supposed to guess the cases and hope that they contain low amounts of money because I want to win the high amount of money? It's like, yeah, dude, welcome to the show. There was also a moment where they talked about their ages, and his reaction to that information just made his level of cluelessness more apparent.
Because we've been friends for like 25 years or whatever. The boys pick a photo of us on they Google a photo.
Wait, how
of
old
us.
are you?
I'm 38.
Oh wow, same age as my kid, one of my kids.
Yeah. So we've been friends for 26, going on
You're in your
27.
40s?
I'm 42.
You don't look it. Wow.
Oh, thanks.
So you were dealing with a bunch of f***ing kids here, huh?
I thought you were
Howie?
kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
no.
And after about the 20-minute mark, the conversation just totally fell off the rails. The hosts are agitated that Howie doesn't know them, and they think he's kind of being an asshole. Howie doesn't know if he should be funny or serious, and it's not like they can tell the difference anyways. And this train wreck of a conversation really becomes noticeable in their conversation about Nair, which is a hair removal cream that safely removes unwanted hair from the body.
Every day, every morning shave?
No,
No?
no.
You don't have
Nair.
to shave the sides?
I use Nair.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Love Nair.
She
And
knows.
is that so?
Love it.
When you're in a hotel, are you wiping your hair on like the
Music
hotel towels and tossing them? Where does this go?
What does that
I've
mean?
never used hair. I've never used Nair.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the process there?
I'm not using Nair. I shave.
Nair is.
I thought my grandma used Nair.
Nair is.
Your grandma?
My
you
grandma
can
used Nair on her arms.
You can open a bottle
Really?
of Nair and
Yeah.
smell.
Why do you know that?
because she always had the Nair and everyone made fun of her. And
So you have a hairy, like your grandmother has hairy arms, and then
She
she
never
would cream
did.
it because she creamed it off. But you asked your grandmother, Grandma, where did the hair go? I'm fascinated that the fact that her grandson knows the process in his grandmother's hair removal.
well, again, Howie, you're living in mansions. People like me, I grew up in a one bedroom with many people.
Oh, so
and
she
all
used to
your
come
stuff,
over. Is right there.
All your stuff is with each other.
Is that the only limbs that she removed hair from?
That I know of. I know it was a big thing for her arms, but she probably used it on her whole body. Yeah.
Really? Well, she was older. She didn't use it on her whole body.
I don't know. She wasn't that old. I was a young, I was,
Did
she
she
was
have
only
a landing strip?
I don't know. I never.
Why do you say I don't know with
looked.
disappointment? Like, why are you disappointed?
Because I feel like I'm disappointing you not knowing the answer.
Well, how disappointed am I not knowing what your grandmother's vagina looks like?
Well, I've been alive for 38 years. No one ever asked me if my grandma had a landing strip, so I thought.
You brought up the fact that your grandmother was removing hair.
From her arms.
Well, it doesn't just stop there.
Look, I'll cut the malarkey. We're facing a critical fundraising deadline. With the election just around the corner,
That's a fucking robot gang.
The conversation is extremely unfocused and oddly hostile. But the true peak moment of chaos that ended the conversation was when they brought up a photo of Howie acting in the 1989 movie Little Monsters. Howie brought up his OCD, which they took seriously because that's what they do. Then he tried to make a joke about it and then kind of insulted Jamie by getting her name wrong and calling her Amy.
Yeah, that's me on the right.
I need to show my kids this movie.
It's so I remember.
I have to. They're gonna love it.
This was a hell for me.
It was.
Hell.
Well, we're
Because-
bringing a lot of hell up for you here,
I'll tell
Howie.
you why.
I apologize.
No, but I'm wrapped in rubber, and
So
you know,
much, yeah.
and nowadays
Sounds like your dream.
I felt like such a dick.
You did?
See what I did there?
I got it.
Oh, because
Explain
you
it
were
to
wrapped
Amy.
in rubber.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Okay. Amy.
Jamie,
So,
'cause
so
I-
I was just.
Wait a minute. What is going on? Have they pulled up? What have they pulled up here? What is this? Some fucking fever dream? Did they put a camera into someone's fucking mind and get this image out? I don't understand how this was made, and I don't know why we're here. First of all, let's start off with that.
Acting in the
Second off-
1989 movie Little Monsters.
Little
Howie brought up his
Monsters.
OCD,
Oh.
which they took seriously because that's what they do. Then he tried to make a joke about it and then kind of insulted Jamie by getting her name wrong and
Right.
calling her Amy.
Yeah,
That'll
that's me
happen.
on the right.
I need to show my kids this movie.
It's so I
I
remember.
have to. They're gonna love it.
This was a hell for me.
It was.
Hell.
Well, we're
Because-
bringing
Was it the
we're bringing
makeup?
a lot of hell up for you
No,
here,
I'll tell you
Howie. I
why.
apologize.
No, but I'm
So
wrapped
they
in
melted his ear
rubber,
right here.
and
So
you know,
much, yeah.
and
It's
kinda odd.
nowadays
Sounds like your dream.
I felt like such
Oh,
a
did
dick.
they like cave it?
See what I did there?
Like cave
got
it? You
Oh,
know?
because
Explain
you
it
were
to
wrapped
Amy.
in rubber.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Okay. Amy.
Jamie,
So,
'cause
so
I-
I was just.
I called you
Jamie.
Yami, so
Oh,
he probably
it might
you know,
be confusing.
just a
It's
little
okay.
nickname, Yami.
Yami. I thought I was wrong.
No,
I
so
didn't
you
know.
can call me Yami.
I
You
didn't
can
know.
definitely
I
call
didn't
me Yami.
understand what he was doing. Yeah,
All chemistry was lost.
I don't understand what's happening here, and I feel like all chemistry's lost on this podcast. I feel like Howie doesn't know these people. These people probably don't know Howie, and that's how it fucking is, and that's how people are doing it too nowadays. Like on podcasts, they'll just have someone in that they've never listened to ever before, and just be like, all right, let's strike up a conversation. Like, no, the conversation is going to be shit because you don't actually know who that person is. And I think that matters.
The nail in the coffin was when Howie just refused to answer one of Rob's questions.
I'm not into old women or young. Like I don't even like the 18, 20. I'm like I like that middle. I like that sweet
I gotta
spot of, whatever that is, 30, where I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go, oh, that person's older. Oh, that person looks too young. You know what I mean?
no.
Howie looks back off set, which seems like he's looking for a way to get out of this conversation and leave. But they're only 30 minutes into the podcast, so it's not time for him to go, and it just keeps getting worse.
You're really good at what you do.
Thanks.
I've watched it. You're really good actors too.
Thank
Are
you.
you still pursuing acting at all?
I am.
I hate it.
Yeah, he hates it.
Really?
I hate it. Yeah, I hate the like weird. Cause you know what it is like.
You just told me how much you loved it when I said I want to do movies, and you said I like it because you can read the scripts. And
No,
you know,
I'm saying I hate television compared to film. I'd rather do film because you know what you have to
So
do
are you
getting
not? Are
into
you
it.
going after film?
I hate all of it. No,
Oh.
I don't.
I don't understand what you said.
I don't. If
Welcome
I
to
had
my
to
life.
choose, I was just saying it's interesting that I don't like television, but I like the fact that in movies you get to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Howie does not relate to Rob at all, but they keep asking him questions.
Do you have recurring dreams? I'll translate.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. That was Howie.
Now Rob's trying to make jokes and they're not landing, and Howie starts to look pissed off. They all seem very obviously agitated and are looking for an excuse to just end this train wreck. But before Howie goes, he just needs to remind everyone that he didn't actually forget Jamie's name. He didn't think her name was Amy, but rather Rob confused him when he called her by her nickname, Yamie.
Like, I've done my homework. And Amy, I just said your name out loud. It's like, that's the problem with overthinking. Get you in trouble if you just do
Always.
what you know.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every
It'll
time.
But it's not in trouble. It's a great moment. It's great that you thought her name was Amy. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a great moment.
Yeah. It's a great moment.
Then you've had a shitty life.
Yeah.
If that
I don't
in
leave
your
my
mind
apartment. I don't
is
leave my
a great
apartment.
moment, me
I say no to
getting
everything.
the wrong name.
Yeah. I say
Yes,
no
he
to
still knows
everything.
that.
Why are you here today?
Because I did say yes to Tom. I said yes to Tom and Christina when they offered us a podcast.
After the show, commenters flooded to defend Rob and Jamie. Howie is a jackass. This guy disrespected Jamie. Why was Howie so rude to Rob? Rob was excited to talk with Howie and get some insight to OCD and possible advice, and Howie just criticized everything Rob said. Hard to watch. I thought I liked Howie until hearing him on this episode. Not your fault, Rob and Jamie. You two are the best. The guest was just surprisingly shit. Especially to Rob, who started out ready to connect and ended up desperate to get the fuck out of there. Brutal. Keep in mind, Howie is 68 years old and Rob is 38. Howie comes from a generation where mental health was vastly stigmatized. He probably still has those moments where he does not want to vocalize his OCD. He doesn't want to be perceived as weak, which is also why he consistently keeps himself working on all these TV shows and podcasts, so he is not consumed by his disability. Rob comes from the generation where the importance of mental health is more accepted and understood. Younger people who suffer are encouraged to and more likely to speak about their illnesses. It's not clear if Rob was necessarily asking Howie for help looking for a specific answer, or if he was just trying to have a general conversation surrounding the topic. They suffer from a similar condition, but their personalities and their approach to handling it could not be more opposite. But this all accelerated when YouTuber Too Lazy to Try made a video criticizing Howie's behavior on the show. Too Lazy felt like Howie was being unsympathetic to Rob's genuine questions.
This one was tough to listen to, but I think it was mostly because of Howie. It felt like he was trying to make Rob as uncomfortable as possible. Like anything Rob would say, Howie would ask him 10 questions about it, and then Howie would make some weird jokes that would never land, and then he'd have to explain everything.
And his community agreed with him. The irony of an old man dressing like a teenager only to talk down on the other adults as if they're the ones too immature to be worthy of mutual respect. Jamie and Rob gave their thoughts on the whole situation on a later podcast with Jim Norton.
I don't want to call anybody out, but sometimes you have a guest who you don't really like very much.
Oh,
and
have you had that?
People notice. Listen, I don't. Maybe we
Just
did.
one.
Maybe we
Just
did.
one?
Yeah, maybe we did.
Now,
maybe we
obviously,
did.
no
Just one.
names.
Yeah.
No names. But can I ask you?
There'll be no way they could figure it out.
No. Because I've had
No one noticed.
I've had things like that too, where you're just not clicking with a person, or there's something, or they come in with a attitude. or
Yeah.
they wanna
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
What you don't have to say who the person was, but what?
I mean, almost all cases of this, it going out and it being a bad episode or whatever, could be fixed if you spend maybe 2 to 3 hours with the person before that happens. Like, I don't think people understand, like, you can't just sit down and start talking to someone. You gotta fucking, let's go out to eat. Let's go there. It's not, like, it's just not how it works. And you can't actually understand the person, right? So that's why a bunch of these episodes that are coming out now, it sounds like fucking dog shit. And it sounds like the same repetitive nonsense. You never actually get to know the person, right? Because it's just how it's structured and just the business of it, right? And how it works. These people fly in, they can only fly in for this amount of time. They're flying right back out after, fuck that. That shit, that's what is ruining it.
Was it? Were they snotty?
They didn't want to be here, it felt, from the second they walked in. And to the point where we just felt like we don't have to do this. And it was just, to me, felt like a clunky conversation because there was just not a lack of respect, but a lack of respect. It was just like, we're here just doing our podcast. We're not claiming to be anything, and I think this person was just coming with a lot of judgments about the two of us, it seemed. And every time we asked a question, it was the answer was making fun of us in the answer.
You know, in acting, you're supposed to do yes and. Like somebody says something, and to continue an improv, you go yes and. It was just no.
And
it was no. Wow. It was the opposite of yes and. It was everything was no.
Then Too Lazy made another video detailing their response, which is when Howie realized he was receiving backlash for his behavior. He commented on the video, "This is my favorite episode yet. Keep up the good work." Finally, Howie decided to formally respond to the situation on his own podcast by going clip by clip rewatching what took place and giving his perspective of what was going on inside his head. First, he said that he thought everyone was having a good time.
If you don't like me, or you don't think I'm funny, or you don't think what I'm doing is funny, and that's what this whole conversation has been about. So then I saw this Too Lazy to Try to say that I was insufferable and they were having a bad time with me. In my recollection, I didn't sense that they were having a bad time with me. Because here's the thing, I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you don't find me entertaining. The fact that I may have made somebody feel like uncomfortable in the room as their guest really bothers me.
So after Howie saw that Rob and Jamie told Jim Norton that they had a bad experience with him, he DM'd her on Instagram and read it on his podcast. He said, "I hope I wasn't the horrible guest you were talking to Jim Norton about. If I came off offensive, I apologize. I truly was happy to be on your show and had a good time." To which Jamie replied, "I'm so glad to know you enjoyed it. Truly, we were very excited to have you on." And to confirm Howie's suspicion that they were actually talking about him, he asked her, "So I was the awful guest?" To which she did not reply. And even Howie understood that by Jamie not messaging him back, she was basically saying that he was the awful guest.
That's confirmation that it was me. And then now I've been watching the Too Lazy to Try because he shows scenes from it where it's been killing me. How can I construe, like, where would they get a bad vibe from me?
Howie spends the next 18 minutes going through many of the clips I played for you in this video and explaining what he was thinking during that time. And trust me when I tell you that his reaction to every single clip was that he was just joking and they did not understand his humor. And during his apology, he kept cracking jokes.
Because I'm medicated, when I'm not performing on stage, I live in a gray zone and my mood's there. So I'm not a good reactor because people will go, I'll say something and then they'll go, "Why are you so mad?" I go, "I'm not mad. I'm not mad." I'm just saying that their interpretation was he doesn't give a f***, he doesn't want to be here, and that's not true. I love you guys. I'm a fan of you guys. I'm going to keep watching you guys. I'm actually apologizing that I would make you feel that way. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying.
Are you talking to the Sopranos kid?
I didn't know they were on the Sopranos.
Yeah.
I think if you just came out like and said what actually made you mad or made you act that way, because like I'm not saying you did. By saying that, I'm not saying he did, but with the way that people are perceiving it, there could have been something in there, right? That let's say it's the part where they start talking about their OCD, his OCD, right? A lot of people, I don't feel like would want that talked about, and especially with how much stuff that this guy does. Like, you could only imagine how many times he's asked that a week, right, by different people. I mean, it's like, "Oh, I have OCD too." It's like, all right, I get it, but like that's not like can we just fucking enjoy the sunlight for a while without talking about that? Like, it doesn't have to be something you talk about all the time, if any. So yeah, I mean, I think that could have done it, really, but and like I said, I feel like that could have also been fixed if these people hang out with this person maybe fucking 30 minutes before. 30 minutes before, "Hey, let me show you around. Let me, like, this is my house." Like, it's not just getting to know someone to be able to start a conversation is, like, that's what it is. Like, that's what you're doing. And you're trying to monetize it, but I feel like just flying in to be like, "Okay, got a podcast appointment at 3:00, got another one at 6, like, that's annoying. And it makes the genre really dilated, you know? It's like there's not any differentiations or anything. It's like nothing like that.
You know what? I came out of this podcast thinking I was great. People are going to love this. In their comments, they hated me. Their viewers, because they're on their wavelength, like ours are on ours, they hated me. They hated me. I didn't care that their viewers hated me. What I do care about is that I made
them uncomfortable. You visibly made them uncomfortable. I'm looking at this now. You answer, and she looks back at a control room like, guys, what the fuck is this? What's going on?
That's just a great
Someone
thing.
help us!
And also during his apology, he kept cracking jokes. Obviously, fans did not take this apology very well. Howie is just unflattering as a podcast host. Some people were just not meant to podcast. The more he talks, the less I like him. It seems pretty evident that two people with extreme OCD do not make for a good combination on a podcast. Howie expressed multiple times that he did not want to talk about his OCD. He also has well-documented interviews that say things like, "The biggest fear I have is being triggered. And if I'm triggered, I get some sort of weird thought in my head that can't go. And then my day is stopped. My life stops." Since Rob has a similar condition, he should know how debilitating it is to trigger someone with OCD. Plus, whenever Howie did cave and give Rob real advice, he combatively responded to Howie with multiple reasons why Howie's advice was not good enough. At the same time, Howie could have done even just a splash of research to know that they are not a comedy podcast, and his dry humor could easily be perceived as being rude or insulting, especially considering that he obviously did not know who these two were, nor did he know what their podcast was about. His half-baked, "I love your podcast, I'm still going to watch."
Well, here's also the thing. Some stuff can be dry just because it wants to be dry. Right? Like, let me explain that better. So you can make a joke not good. Like, you could actually make a joke not good. And there's multiple things that go into it. Like, not following it, like, or like not having someone there that's going to, you know, say something or do something else, right? According to what you just said. Sometimes it, you know, and I'm not really trying to explain that, you know, that, but I kind of am. If they would have just, like, played along more, and I don't know, right? But much more things could be taken lightly and be funnier if you just kind of roll with the punches and you aren't so, "My name's Amy," or Jamie, or whatever. So, yeah.
An apology seems disingenuous because he couldn't acknowledge his pitfalls without cracking a joke immediately after. Overall, I think the lesson here is not everyone needs to start a podcast.
It's a very good point. What a great video. And by the way, I didn't mean to call her Amy. I'm so